There's a lesson that you need to learn here. And the lesson is your job is to become a CEO and not to become a person who's working in the business. You need to be working on the business, creating systems, creating processes, creating trust, creating relationships, making sure you have accountability with your teams. And if you're failing to do that and you're like, well, I have to do this because nobody else can. Well, you're probably arrogant, number one. Number two, you're probably controlling. Number three, you're probably just afraid. You're probably afraid to let go. And that's got to stop. If you want to grow past the place you're at and that's how you're feeling, those are the issues that you've got to deal with internally in order to make your business become an actual thriving company that really does have the opportunity to scale and grow. All right. Welcome back to the Monster Mindset Podcast. I'm Doug Bartlett, your host, owner of Bartlett Roofing, owner of a software company that we have yet to release, but it's coming soon. We'll talk about that more later. Appreciate it if you do a like and subscribe for me. Would love to keep bringing you things that you can hopefully use to scale your business. Today, what I want to really talk about is how to build a team and why you're failing to be able to continue to grow. In my last episode, we talked about, hiring and firing and making sure you have the right people on the bus. They're doing the right things and they're like really fit for the role. And also getting rid of cancer quickly. Or if they're not too bad at cancer, maybe they're just in the wrong seat on the bus. You just need to figure out a new spot for them if you have the need. If you don't have the need, don't go and make up roles that you don't have the need for, that you're not clear about, right? If you got cancer, get rid of them. But are you at the point where you're doing everything yourself, you feel like, and you're not trusting anybody else to do it? If you are, and this is a common place for business owners to get stuck, there's a lesson that you need to learn here. And the lesson is that your job is to become a CEO and not to become a person who's working in the business. You need to be working on the business, creating systems, creating processes, creating trust, creating relationships, making sure you have KPIs and making sure that you have accountability with your teams. Don't over-meeting yourself, right? And when you're small, daily contact with everybody on your team is possible. But as you scale, that's not going to happen. And so you're going to have to find leaders that can do the job. And if you're failing to do that and you're like, well, I have to do this because nobody else can. I have to keep doing it because nobody else is as good as I am at it. Well, you're probably arrogant, number one. Number two, you're probably controlling. And number three, you're probably just afraid. You're probably afraid to let go. And that's got to stop. If you want to grow past the place you're at and that's how you're feeling, those are the issues that you've got to deal with internally in order to make your business become an actual thriving company that really does have the opportunity to scale and grow. So you understand that your time has dollar value, but where is that dollar value? It's going to change over time. It starts out as, I'm a great salesman. I'm worth $1,000 an hour or $100 an hour, whatever that number is, and you're replacing yourself out of roles that are only worth $20 an hour or $30 an hour. That's great. You should do that. But if you get to a point where you're like, hey, I'm still the best salesman, but your company needs attention and you should be working on the business instead of in the business, you're just living in fear now. And you can't be living in fear and cast vision and plan for the future in any kind of an effective way. So it's time for you to let go of some control. Think about it like this. If you hire somebody to do a job and you're like, well, they're not quite doing it right because you're trying to micromanage them, but the outcome is the same, maybe you could do every job at your company better. That doesn't matter. Because if they're doing it 75 or 80% as well as you in your mind, they're probably doing it just as well or better, actually. They're just not doing it quite the same way that you would. And that's a key thing that you have to recognize is your team can operate without you. As long as you give them the clear goal, the clear vision, and you have accountability at the end of the day. You get that right, suddenly you're taking the reins off of the horse and you're the horse. So you're taking the reins off and you're able to run freely. You're going to get your eagles flying instead of your sparrows that are trying to peck away because everybody's moving in the right direction. Everybody's working together to make something happen. Early on, yeah, you hustle and you have to work in the business and on the business. But there has to come a point not too far down the road. I think for me, it was, somewhere between 1 and 2 years around there where I finally was like, okay, I have to take a vacation. I have been working so hard. I am so tired. I need to take a week off. And when I finally did that, it was a beautiful thing, because I told my bookkeeper at that time and my guy that was running production at that time, my guy that was working with our sales team, and they were all used to me calling all the shots. And I said, guys, I'm tired. I've been busting my butt for a long time now. And so here's the deal. I'm going to take off for a week and you aren't going to hear from me. Don't call me. Figure it out. And if you can't figure it out, then keep track of what you can't figure it out and pause it somehow or another, and we'll fix it when I get back. And that was a beautiful thing for more reasons than one. One is I needed the break. That was a no-brainer. I absolutely needed the break. But the truly beautiful thing about that is that I learned that, number one, I can trust my team to get things done while I'm gone. And number two, that was a test of them and understanding how empowered they were and how much they understood the way I think and whether or not they could get things done without me. And I was able to identify several things that they had to pause because they weren't sure what to do. And it taught me how I needed to empower them differently. And by doing that, then I took my reins off and I was able to then continue to scale and grow, because now they had the tools, the knowledge, the decision tree in order to make decisions without me that were, in my mind, minimally impactful. I mentioned this before, like when you have somebody that's first in leadership, give them a $500 limit on a decision if you have to, and be like, hey, you can make any decision you need to, just don't make it cost me more than $500. If it's going to cost more for $500, come and ask me. After they've been with you for a while and you trust their decisions more, make it $1,000. And then eventually you make it $5,000 and $10,000, to the point now where I have people making, $100,000 decisions or $200,000 decisions, like which insurance carrier are we going to go with? We spend multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on insurance, and guess what? I don't feel like I need to, and I really don't need to give really any input on whether or not that is the right insurance company to go with, or whether it was the right decision to, buy additional equipment, buying trucks. I don't make decisions around buying trucks anymore. Why would I? My team understands it. I've built the system to where they understand what we need. And if you aren't at that point, then you're choking your business based on only your decisions. And every time you have to make decisions in the business, you're stealing time from working on the business. And that's where you need to be if someday you want to be a CEO who casts vision and just has like accountability meetings once every week or every month or sometimes even every quarter, if you get big enough and you got the right team to do the job. So make that happen, because your goal shouldn't be to be irreplaceable. Your goal should be to make yourself replaceable, because you've got such a great team, and everybody in your company should also be replaceable. It's a hard lesson I learned back when I owned a chain of cell phone stores. I started a company called Wireless USA back in 1998. It was a retail store for distributing cell phones and satellite, television stuff. I scaled that company up from startup to 27 stores in 4 years. And then I went bankrupt. And the reason I went bankrupt, and this was a really valuable lesson for me, and believe me, that hurt. Like, I was down. But the reason I went bankrupt is because I had a very deep dependency. 90% of the business I was doing was with one cell phone carrier. And they sold out to a different company that was overseas. And that company just decided not to pay us one day. And then they lied to us about it for about 3 months. And by that time, I was sunk. I had continued to sell their product, saying, hey, get me my commissions, pay me. And they're like, it's just a transition, you'll get your pay. 3 months later, I get a notification after I've been draining the bank account. And they said, we're not going to pay you. You could take us to court if you want to. I mean, it was a little more complicated than that. But, they were invoking different contract clauses that were BS, that had never even ever been brought up before. But man, the lesson was heard. Don't have a single dependency. If your company depends on you in order to thrive, think about what you're doing to your whole team. every one of your employees, if you get in a car wreck one day, do you want them to not have jobs? What about the families that depend on their income, their kids and their spouses, or the subcontractors? You know, in my case, I've got about 200 employees, but there's about 1,000 different people out there when I count up the families and the subcontractors and the suppliers that count on me making good business decisions. And if I am a dependency where we could not operate without me, I would be screwing over 1,000 people if I got in a car wreck one day. And so I have to make the company not dependent upon me. And early on, that's unavoidable, but you need to make it to where you don't have a dependency on one person. If you've got one stellar salesperson, by gosh, you better find 10. Because if you would lose that one, you could be screwed early on. Scale, grow, don't have the dependency. If you've got one great sales manager who's running one great team, you need 5. Eliminate the dependency to where no more than 25% of your business is responsible by a single dependency. Like even to that point right now, like I have a roofing company, we're doing $50 million a year in business, and we've been dependent upon doing insurance claims for too long. And so we're pivoting. We're doing commercial roofing now. We're doing retail sales now, trying to make the insurance and retail on the residential roof replacement stuff 50-50, but we're also adding to that mix commercial roofing. So now we got 33, 33, 33, and we're adding repairs to that mix, and then we're adding other trades to that mix. So now it's not just roofing, it's full exteriors of homes. All those things are happening in order for me to actually realize the lessons that I teach, which is stop having dependencies. If there's one place we have dependency on people, on process, on supply, on crews, on fulfillment, on design, like whatever type of business you're in, if you have more than one dependency, if you have somebody that is key and dependent, like absolutely key, you better have key man insurance. I try to avoid that by making sure I don't have dependencies. So make it to where your company doesn't depend on any one person, any one relationship, any one product, or even on yourself. If you can do that, you're really creating something that's going to be a winning, scaling, growing company. Your decisions need to be set up in a way that everybody understands them and understands the direction you're going. Your goal is not to be useful. Your goal is to be replaceable. If you can buy back your time by replacing yourself, and then you can keep it from being dependent, you now have something, if you work on the systems and the processes, that's going to become a huge company. So I think that's the main lesson I have for you today is think about those factors. Is there anything that you're dependent upon? Are you buying back your time? Are you trusting your team enough? And from previous episodes, are you hiring quickly enough the right people, and are you getting rid of the cancer to protect the culture? If you're doing those things right and you actually are implementing those things, you're definitely on the right track. The challenge for you today is to sit down for 15 minutes and think, what are my dependencies in people, in process, in supply, in fulfillment? Identify what they are, make a plan for eliminating your dependencies that are system or business killers if they aren't 100% fulfilled successfully. If you can do that, that's a big win. Hopefully we can get into some more lessons here in the future. I'll see you on the next one.